Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. I wanted to just touch on, I mentioned on the video that I did that I've been working on this on a version of Barry's Barry's presentation that a couple of you have done with groups. And it's not done. And then I realized yesterday, it's like, wow, this is getting way bigger, and this doesn't need to be this many slides, because I just think there's an awful lot of information on there that becomes pretty superfluous. I really do think at the end of the day, and the direction I'm taking this presentation is that what we have to get across, and Ryan and I talked a little bit about this. This came up on a call that was a VIP group of loan officers had the other day, and the recognition that, and I guess it kind of ties into what I wrote about in today's Friday Focus, the ability to shake off a bad outcome is so critical to success and our abilities to really hone our skills and our level of professionalism in this business. Because I think we do definitely focus on the short term in this business, even though we know that, short-term thinking doesn't help us at all. So when I say that, like, we always thinking about it, and I do this because I do the numbers, and I'm having you focus a little bit on short-term results, because and you can't stop thinking about the value of, what are my numbers and how am I doing? But if you're not getting a result that you're looking for, how does that affect you? How does that impact you? And, like that story in the Friday Focus about, I can't even imagine how it must have felt if you're Mariano Rivera and you're Mariano Rivera, by the way, and you just lost the World Series in in the bottom of the ninth, game 7 with a 1-run lead. And that's like automatic cash the check. You're going to win another championship, and you lost 3-2. And his reaction to that was just astounding to me. And when we fail with this group, when we have a bad outcome, and we don't typically fail, we just don't have the outcomes that we want, which is like his approach to this, and reframing what we consider failing and having a bad outcome would be probably a really valuable first step. And I'll write about it some more, but just his response was, that's baseball and there's nothing I can do about it, is just, whoa. Like, I've never failed in front of, I don't know how many millions of people watch World Series games, but it's all over the world. And I mean, he still had to go home that night and talk to his wife and his kids and go to sleep and try to sleep and wake up the next morning and talk to people, and how he treated everybody. How did he treat the people around him when he had that? That would be like astounding to watch somebody at his level, and how he treats the people around him when he doesn't get his way and he doesn't have the outcome that he's looking for. I just think there's so much that we can gain from this, and there's so much that we can learn from the times that we're going through right now, because they suck. Let's be honest, these times kind of suck, right? This isn't anything like what we're used to having, but we're figuring it out. It's not like we're failing. I don't have the numbers up. We closed 53 deals in March. We closed 42 or something like that in April. We have 54 scheduled for. We're getting this done. It's just harder, and we have to talk to more people, and it's taking longer than we want it to. Still the best paying job I've ever had, right? Still the best paying job most of us have ever had. So our reaction to how this is playing out is critical. And that's one of the things that he talks about. I'm going to share more in the next Friday Focus about how he just resolved to become a better professional because of what he was going through, because of the difficult times. What a great message. I'm going to become better because of this. How about that? How about we all just decide, like, let's see how good we can get at this because of what we're going through and how much better we can become. I just think that's a really empowering message. So, we say that, I say it all the time, control your ACE, your attitude, your commitment, and your effort. I just think it matters now more than ever. It just matters now more than ever. And so just remember that, like, we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. We're all trying to help each other. And I appreciate everybody who makes the time to get on this call every week, because it does matter, and we can support each other and we can learn from what everybody else is going through. And that's why the sharing is so important. So thank you. I wanted to share an email, and I'll forward this. So wanted to just touch on overcoming price objections. I'm going to brag on John Arsenault a little bit, because when John gets a price objection out of everybody, John's reaction to price objections is like hilarious. If you've ever talked to him about this, he's like, yeah, whatever, price objections. I don't care. And so he just has this super chill attitude about it. And he goes, yeah, I don't really talk about the price with the customer whenever this comes up. Like, and John's typically, you know, his KPI report's pretty flat, always around 0, and, you know, give or take, you know, a couple $100 up or down on transactions for the most part. Every now and then he takes a dump and I have to give him shit. But so he sends this customer an email. Hi, I just had such a bad screen sharing experience last time. I'll forward this to everybody. Hi, Shannon, here are a few options. So he sends him Mortgage Coach, 15-year fixed, 6.5 with a 0.5 point, 10-year ARM, 6 3/4 with 2 points, 30-year fixed, 7 1/4 with 1/4. Anything else is either way more expensive or not available. We could look at options to buy down the 15-year loan to a lower rate, but I don't think the cost is worth it. Yes, we can close in 2 to 3 weeks, so potentially as fast as next Friday if that works better. She comes back. That was Monday at 1:20. On Tuesday, the 25th, Tuesday at literally 24 hours later. Hi, John, I did reach out to Wells Fargo, which is our bank. So there's no communication going back and forth, and John's not losing his shit like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. What should I do? I did reach out to Wells Fargo, which is our bank. They quoted me 6 1/4 for 15 years at 0 points. John was quoting 6.5 with a 0.5 point. 6 1/4, 0 points, 6.5 with a 0.5 point. Any way you can meet that with the help you've given us, and this is the line I fucking hate. With the help you've given us, I'd like to give you the business. Let me know. Would you like to give me the business? And so he comes back with this classic fucking response. Hi, Shannon, I appreciate the opportunity, but we are just not the same type of company as they are. So unfortunately, I cannot match that. I love him. One thing to ask them is if they will close on time. And if they don't, what penalties they will pay you and the seller. We guarantee our closing time with $1,000 per day to you and the seller if we do not close on time, or if the closing is late and the seller walks from the deal due to the late closing, we reimburse your earnest money. The last seller I had with Wells Fargo as the lender took 46 days to close, and they promised 30 would work. That was Tuesday at 2:20. At 3 o'clock, okay, good to know. We didn't get the property, so it might be irrelevant. I will be in touch. And then John said, sorry to hear that. Let me know if I can do anything else to help. Saturday then, so oddly enough, the house we bid on is now ours. We're signing. We would like to close on the 19th. Do you think you can make that happen? And if so, what do you need to get us started? Blah, blah, blah. So, dude, good job. Just great job. What John does really well, and I think the lesson here is don't overreact. You don't have to panic because you got a price objection. I think that's all of us. I know that was for me. I'm like, I panic. I would panic when somebody would do that. I'd be like, right? Like physically you can tell like, oh no, now I have to deal with this. And just that reaction is so chill. It's like going, oh yeah, no, I can't do that. Unfortunately, I cannot do that. And here's why. Here's what we do. Do they do that? And I mean, there's a quarter spread in rate there and more cost. And so good job, dude. And it's just goes to show you being ready for that, being ready. You just did a great job. And when you told me that, I was like, dude, you got to send me that email and I'll send it to everybody. And this was not even on the phone. It's like, nah, here's the email. So it's just, you have to believe. And John, I think John does probably better than all of us. John believes in the value that he's selling and doesn't discount the fact that we do all the things that we do. And I think that's where we struggle at times, is that we don't have enough faith in the value that we deliver, which is what causes us to react in a negative environment. That doesn't change the fact that, yeah, everybody's out there with lower prices. I get it. Our competition, there's a little bit of a race to the bottom right now. Whenever we go through cycles in the business like this, it happened in 2018. It's happening again, where people are cutting their prices and trying to like, oh, I'm going to get all the business, because like going, that's a fool's errand, and it puts people out of business. It will put you out of business because you can't make it up in volume. We can't sell 2 to the same customer, right? Like it's just, so holding the line on the value that we deliver and holding the line on pricing. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't, examine where you're at with caps and comp and all of that stuff, just to make sure that you're sharp, because the industry might be going through that kind of a cycle at the same time. But but believe in the value that you deliver, because you guys we do a great job. And it's the fact that we close on time and that we don't like gives $1,000 a day if I don't, and we'll pay you the earnest money if the seller walks. With your earnest money, we'll reimburse you. Like, yeah, Wells Fargo doesn't do any of that shit. And most of our competition doesn't either. So you just have to have that faith and that confidence. And you know, clearly it shows. And I'm not saying that'll work every time, but what do you got to lose, right? So anyway, let's talk about some wins or any other things that anybody would like to bring up. This is going to be a short call today. And then we're going to talk about getting back to the finishing up with fanatical prospecting. But go ahead. Anybody?
I have a, I don't know if it's a win yet, but I got a 911 call last night at about 5:30 from an agent that I hadn't worked with before. His client is with 0 Point Mortgage. I think we've all heard of them recently.
Yeah.
They got declined yesterday for closing on Monday. And they have, it's a $930,000 loan or sales price, and they're gonna lose their earnest money. And he sent me the whole transaction, the whole back and forth on what's going on. It's a citizenship thing. But they started questioning this last Friday, along with all of their P&Ls and all of their self-employed documents. And the document they had in the file was over 10 years old and never questioned it through the entire process. So told him how to get what she might need to make this work, but like, it's not a good way. That's why that's our value, that we're not going to do that to someone, you know, like a week before closing, just say, yeah, you don't qualify, period, for something we've had all along, or should have asked all along.
That's crazy. Wow. So it doesn't sound like it's salvageable.
It might be. They never told the client how to get the documentation that they probably have available to them. So I gave Jan helped me this morning, and I gave him the whole explanation on how to find out for sure that they are here or not legally. So it may be salvageable.
Wow.
We can do, but yeah.
Well, so there you go, guys. Believing in the value of what you do, the way that we do it, we decided to. I think about this a lot. Especially the last few days. Like, what is that? What I just want to run a great company, and a great company wouldn't do that to clients. A company who's just churning and burning and wants to close as many deals and how much money can we make? Yeah, I want to make a lot of money, but like, I just want to run a great company, and a great company wouldn't do shit like that. That's fucked up. That's just fucked up.
Yeah.
So know the value. Jessica, you raised your hand. Thank you for raising your hand. Like, how'd you do that exactly? Because that's really cool. I don't know how to do that.
3 actions. You go in there and you can click the hand.
No.
Lower my hand now.
Technology, man. All right, cool.
Big win. I think it's a win because my realtor partner has been sending me these open house leads, and basically just sends me a screenshot of all the people who write their names down. And I just committed to calling them 3 times. And I haven't been that consistent, to be honest, in the past, but I was like, I'm going to call them 3 times. I'm going to practice my script 3 times with all these people and just get better and better. And the 3rd call, I actually got 2 people to set the appointment. So I think that's great.
I think it's fucking awesome. Good job. We have to work harder than we're used to working right now. And calling like 17 names off of an open house list is something that we don't do. Like, none of us are like, yeah, that sounds like fun. It's like, yeah, but there's business there. And if there's an opportunity to help somebody buy a house, we all want to help somebody buy a house, right? Like, so could turn into be one of the best clients you've ever worked with. And they refer the crap out of you, and they turn into one of my Reimer tree stories where they do 20 loans over the next 20 years or the next 10 years. It's just crazy. So good job. By the way, I had dinner. Lori and I had dinner with Candy Reimer the other night, for those of you that know the Reimer story. Jay Mainwanger, still friends with him after I did my first loan with Milt and Candy in like 2001. And so still friends with people I met doing a loan. I think that's one of the coolest things about the business. Go ahead.
So I have this client I'm working with. I can only get her approved FHA. she wrote back, I have another lender that says they can get me approved conventional. And so I just said, okay. She's like, why couldn't you get me approved conventional? And I just told her the short part of it was that her front end debt to income ratio was a little bit too high. So the amount of money that she makes and the amount of the housing payment just wasn't going to work out. And I was like, would you mind if I took a look at what they sent you? And she said, no problem. So she sent it over, and I started asking her questions like, okay, did they ask for any documents up front? And she's like, no, I thought that was a little weird since you did all that, and she's like, yeah, I'm like, that's a big red flag, so, and I'm like, and then there's other things on the loan estimate that they didn't include. She's looking at condos, like they didn't even estimate any kind of HOA fees. She's like, so what they have here, I'd have to spend like an additional $300 to $400 a month, I'm like, yeah. So she was like, oh man. And I was like, and you told me you had $18,000, for a down payment. And it looks like they just took that number and that's what they're going to try to, like have you bring to closing. It's just $18,000, where I was trying to find you a first time home buyer program where maybe we can eliminate that and get you to the closing table with like $8,000 to $10,000. So that way you can have some money to buy some furniture and, things like that. And she was like, well, no, she's like, this makes a lot more sense. She's like, I'm really glad that we did everything up front. She's like, I don't know. She's like, do these people think I'm stupid? So, and I was like, unfortunately, yeah, a lot of them do. They're just in it to make a quick buck. So I feel pretty good that she's not going to go with anybody else after this. We didn't get the house that she wanted. She got outbid because it's really tight. Her debt to income really makes it very difficult for her to find a place. So, but we're going to keep trying.
That's an amazing story. That's just exactly what we're talking about, is doing this. So the value that you bring. And so let's tie that back to real estate agents. Everything that you just heard, John's story and Jay's story about these clients, and bringing that to the real estate community, because that's realtors. Because Ryan and I were talking about this. I've been listening to another book called that we've all heard, maybe recommended. I just have never picked it up and read it. I bought it a long time ago, but now I'm listening to it. It's called The Challenger Sale. And it's being able to, it's about the idea of being able to clearly articulate what it is that makes you different. And I don't know, I don't have a solution yet. It's like this takes a while to develop, and it would require everybody's participation in coming up with what it is that really, how do you articulate the difference in a way that makes a difference to the people that we're trying to get business from on a B2B level, which is us and referral partners. So referral partners sending us their leads. And there's some pearls of that in these stories that you guys are hearing that we have to be able to articulate and share and use when we're meeting with people. So so there you go. Giuseppe, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I just had a discovery call this week where, or actually it was a Zoom meeting, and we were talking about the real estate agent, and she's like an accountant with PwC or something, so super into like the numbers and everything and the TCA, which was great. Then she's like, oh yeah, I talked to him, I met with my realtor earlier, and he's going to have me talk to his lender because he always wants his buyers to use his lender. And so I got the name down, and then normally I wouldn't really do anything, but now I decided to try something different. And so I just sent him a bomb video to the agent with the pre-approval. I removed the TCA from the pre-approval email because I don't want him to start looking at that and like, oh, can you beat this, to his lender. But I just went through the value, and everything that we can do. I wanted to connect with him so that we can discuss, 2-week closings, waiving this, blah, blah, blah. And he called back and he was like super excited. We ended up having about a 10-minute phone call going through all the things that we can do. And he's like, I don't have anyone that can do anything like that. So thanks for all the extra firepower. I'm like, great. So that was fun. We call that a win.
That's a huge win. And maybe that's what we're not doing, is that I'm guilty of this. Mike White's giving me shit about it. Like we don't maybe we're all guilty, maybe a little bit guilty of taking for granted what we do because we've been doing it for so long and we do it the way that we do it. And we kind of feel like, well, maybe everybody else does the same thing. Is like, yeah, I don't think they do, guys. I don't think they do. And I think that that's their opportunity that you have to have confidence in going out and presenting this value more consistently and sitting down with people and being able to do a great job of articulating it. And you know, first to admit, we could probably do a better job of putting some marketing material together, but we have some pretty good stuff that you can use. And it just seems like, again, maybe that's our biggest downfall, is that we just take for granted what we do too much because it's just what we've always done. And we're not appreciating it enough and going out and pressing the flesh enough and getting in front of enough people to explain to them, hey this is what we do. And this is what makes it, here's what makes us different. And, but there's something in there, like there's this whole process of the challenger sale and the concepts behind it is pretty elaborate. And they have all this things that you can sign up for, which I don't want to sign up for another sales thing, but just some good thoughts that we're having there. Does anybody else have anything else to share?
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on that, Dave. Yeah, I feel like I'm guilty of I'm just going through the TCA and the new slides now, but not really hitting on like, here's what I actually do. And thanks to Jessica, she's always got these marketing ideas. The top 10 reasons to work with me. Like I changed it a little bit, but I had marketing put that together for me. So like I got to incorporate that into my my meetings, because I have it. I mean, I don't tell clients like, yeah, we guarantee $1,000 per day. I guess I assume they know that stuff. So I don't, I got to do a better job of that, because I think kind of like what John said, you just throw that little extra value and a little like hint of hesitancy to use another lender. Like, yeah, the other lender doesn't guarantee the dates and they don't do 10,000 on the pre-approval. Probably shouldn't risk using somebody else, right? Even if their price is better. So I got to do a better job at that as well. But a win, it's not a win yet, but it's going to be, I guess. Well, I've gotten two leads from listing agents I've been like prospecting for like a year. So to all the new people, it takes time. One was a listing agent twice, so that was super helpful, but it's starting to work out. And Christine kind of helped me with like a in process to post closing follow up with listing agents. That's working well. Like send them a gift, like a book or something, ask to give them a review, and then ask for a meeting, and it's starting to really work. But the win that I kind of want to hit on is all my agents that I follow up with every month. I go in to the lookup tool and I update their stats, and I've really noticed, and I'm starting to look at other lenders, not to be like weird, but I'm looking at other lenders. I'm like, okay, they use that lender. That lender was like 5 deals, in the last 7 months. Like that lender's not going to probably be around. So I'm just trying to put out feelers like, hey, if your lender, and I did a couple of calls like this yesterday, so on some newer listing agents and some prior ones, like, hey, if I know you got a lender you trust, but if your lender decides to get out of business because it's too tough, like I'm not getting out of business, I'm going to be here for the long haul. Like keep me in mind, keep me top of mind. So I'm just putting that like thought in their mind that if their lender gets out of the business, that they call me first. So I think, I don't know if is that a good strategy? I don't know. I think so.
I don't think I don't know, there's nothing wrong with it, because first of all, if the lender's a little sketchy in their performance, and I wouldn't hesitate to say that if they did 5 deals in the last 7 months, like, I don't know if they're going to, like, that's hard. That's a tough way to make a living. And so are you going to still be around? And yeah, I don't think that's, I don't know that I don't know that I wouldn't bring that up. So yeah, why not?
What do you think about bringing up Cherry Creek Mortgage, like, and how rocky things are over there? Because I know a lot of people
I
love.
don't know if it's Cherry Creek or if it's because Cherry Creek and the Guild thing seems like it's a pretty solid match. The Guild's a solid company. Cherry Creek's a solid company. Neither one of them have that I mean, you guys would have to tell me, you're closer to the street, but I don't say that either one of them have I mean, if I was going up against a Guild or a Cherry Creek mortgage loan officer, I'd be like, yeah, they're probably okay. Like, how long have they been in business and what are they telling you? That was one of the things that Ryan and I were talking about this last week. When I find out somebody's talking to other lenders, like if I get involved in the deal, I'm switching gears here on price shoppers. If I'm getting involved in a deal and the customer tells me they're talking to other lenders, I'm like, well, who are you talking to? Honestly, I don't want to spend a lot of time with somebody who I can't get the business from, right? And I don't want to just chop my price to get the deal. And that's the reason the customer is going to make a decision based on price. If they tell me they're talking to somebody at Nova or Cherry Creek or Guild or I don't know, Movement, like these are good companies. I mean, if they were told me they were talking to Rocket or US Mortgages, Dave Szymanski or something like that, I'd be like, whoa, let's talk, right? Let's talk. I want to help you. But yeah, those guys are pretty good. Are you not getting the response? Are they not telling you what you want to hear? Are you not like, do you not like them or do you not trust them? What is it? Because honestly, I don't want to spend a lot of time with somebody who's, because if it just turns into a price war, Ryan and I were talking about, it's like, we do this to each other. Like all the time, it's like going, I'll take $100 off. Well, I'll take $100 off. Well, I'll take $100 off. Well, I'll take $100. Like stupid. Like who's going to go the lowest? And like, I don't want to play that game. Just let it go and go find somebody who appreciates the value. Because if somebody comes to you like that, just keep that in mind. If somebody comes to you like that, don't be afraid to go like, well, who are you talking to? How's it going? Do you not like them? Actually, I don't like them. It's like, okay, well then why are you not? Okay. So let me tell you how I work. And get them to like commit, because I don't want you spending 2 or 3 or 4 hours on a pre-approval, and the time that it takes to talk to them and go through that process to get them pre-approved and then lose the deal. You don't want to do that either. So don't be afraid to just talk to people. Anyway, just good stuff. I don't know how this cash out refi thing is going to go. I think that on a WhatsApp thread that the Giuseppe are in and the coaching group that we have, they're talking about more people are starting to pick them up. There isn't like there's a avalanche of refinance business, but conversations that you can have with people that maybe they're not ready was one of the themes that let them know when, like, well, where do you want me to hear? At what rate are you going to be interested? Because we still think rates are going to continue to come down. And I don't think May 10th, based on what I'm seeing, is the big day that everybody was thinking it was going to be. Does anybody else disagree with me on that? Because that's what I think we're hearing Barry kind of soften the rhetoric as it relates to how good rates are going to be on May 10th. Does anybody else agree with me? Disagree?
What I read this morning is it's just going to be the start of it.
Yeah.
Nothing's really going to happen on the 10th, but it's going to set up a trajectory over the next couple of months to let things keep improving.
Just the first domino.
All right. Yeah, the
Hopefully.
city comes in way lower, then rates will forget about the jobs report and we'll start moving lower.
Yeah, I think it's really like once we get May, June, July's readings too through August. Those are some higher inflation numbers. But
Hey, someone replied to that email, Chris, while
hey,
we were on the meeting.
nice. It would be nice for the ARMs to come back, because even if 30 years don't come back, if we can start getting ARMs with a 0.5% spread again, then that would open up things too, right, Dave?
For sure.
It's just, it's like the yield curve's inverted and it's just stupid. I saw yesterday that 2-year was down huge and almost, it's getting closer to that 10-year, but it's gonna, at some point, guys, it's gonna just open up. But
And you'll definitely have
weird
some
time.
opportunities. They'll definitely have some opportunities for refis, where I do think that the biggest opportunity that we have, and that's what the point of this slides that I'm doing is getting buyers to understand that are first-time home buyers, because that's probably the biggest opportunity. Because if you had a house to sell and move and you got to give up a lower rate for a higher rate, a bigger mortgage and all that right now, that's not very attractive. But the first-time home buyer is probably the opportunity. I had Amy do a little exercise for me that you'll appreciate, in that we just, how we track the top 5 market share stat and how we're doing compared to everybody else. So as of this month, except for Adams County, we're in the top 25 in Arapahoe. Or 19th in Arapahoe, 23rd in Denver, 21st in Douglas, and 24th in Jefferson, or 29th in Adams. The total number of units that in those 5 counties that were closed in the last 14 months, and this isn't all of Colorado, but definitely, obviously, the most activity, Colorado, there were 15,264 purchase mortgage loan closings in those 14 months, okay? Based on
15,000?
15,264 over 14 months. On a monthly basis, that's 1,062 loans, purchase loan closings. That should make you feel great, because it's like, fuck, there's a lot of deals out there. 1,000 deals a month. We closed 37 purchases last month. 37. There's a lot of fucking deals out there, guys. We just got to go get them. And it's going to be harder than it used to be. And that's okay. But the good news is 1,000 deals in 5 counties a month on average over the last 14 months. That's great news. So I leave you with that cool thought. I'll send you the spreadsheet. It's that's good news. That should fire you up and make you go like, yeah, I got to go find some more of those people, because they're out there and they want to buy. And what we have to do is get the message to them that, like, yeah, it's not going to be your forever home, but buy a home, because that's how you're going to start to build your wealth. And buying your first home doesn't have to be your dream home. And get in this market. I have some other stats about it, like population growth and the growth of the population in America. There's going to be 111 more million people that arrive that are in this country by the year. I know it's a long ways off and you laugh at me, but in the year 2100, there'll be 111 million more people than there are right now. Let me ask you something. Where will they live? And I don't know where they're going to live, but they all need a house to live in. And either they're going to pay the landlord's mortgage or they're going to pay their own mortgage. I'm a landlord and I love my tenants, but I would not be a tenant. And so we have to get that message to people, because these properties are just going to be worth more and more. And we don't have to we don't have to close 1,000 deals a month, but we can close more than 37, right? So let's go get them, guys. Thanks. Have an awesome Friday, guys. See ya.